thunderstorms sometimes do get tornado warned because they have that potential to produce a tornado. Again, just because you have a tornado warning doesn't necessarily mean there's a tornado on the ground, but it could mean that one could happen at any moment. And that's the sort of situation that we're in right now. So right along M66, there is an area of rotation moving through. That is the cross streets of M66 and East Musgrove Highway. That would be the area of rotation, and that is, again, going to be dropping off to the southeast at about 20 miles an hour. So some of those locations I was hitting a little bit earlier, Sunfield, that is crossing into northern Eaton County near Roxland, or Roxand, if I'm saying that right. That is kind of the path of this storm. It is pushing off to the southeast at about 20 miles an hour. I can provide a quick little snapshot of timing on this. Give me just 1 second. I need to actually zoom out on our radar a little bit more. I'm zoomed in too much, trying to get some of those cross streets for you. But I'll put a track on this, and we'll give you an idea of where this storm is heading. So if you're in any of these locations, Sunfield at about 326, Roxand, which we were just talking about, 340, Needmore at about 352, and then Grand Ledge at about 401. So Grand Ledge, a little bit larger of a location there compared to some of these other spots that I've been touching on. That's almost getting towards Lansing, but Grand Ledge is in the path of this. And so you just want to be kind of watching this storm very, very closely. I'm going to clear off that track and just make sure that there's nothing new to report with this other severe thunderstorm warning ongoing in northern Kent County. This storm looks pretty the Rockford area. This one is not tornado warned. That area of orange that you see on the screen, that is a severe thunderstorm warning for Kent County through 3:45 in the afternoon. This one is more of just a wind gust threat. We have been seeing in numerous days now, for numerous days, these storms that they bubble up in this afternoon heat and humidity, and they can produce some gusty winds as those downdrafts within these storms sort of collapse. And so those are the sort of situations we're dealing with right now. It's just that this storm, and again, this is in southern Ionia County, just pushed out of the Odessa area. This is the storm that just has a little bit of rotation, just enough to kind of catch the eye of us meteorologists in the National Weather Service, where it has that potential to produce a tornado, and hence why it has this tornado warning. We are going to stay on the air until this tornado warning expires. So just a heads up about that. But yeah, Sunfield, it's eventually going to probably drop a little farther southeast and eventually cross M43 in northern Eaton County. So any of those locations that are popping up on the screen there, Sunfield, Mulligan, Roxanne, Danby as well. I want you just in your safe place and watching this very closely. No update, which is a good thing, from the National Weather Service regarding any sort of a report of a tornado, damage, anything like that. This storm did do some damage, though, a little bit earlier. Nothing too widespread so far has been reported, but this storm tracked out of Kent County a little bit over an hour ago and did have some trees down there. I can get some more information on that momentarily, but nothing too widespread as far as damage reports that we're getting in at this very moment. But again, Danby, Roxanne, if you're near M43 in northern Eaton County, M50 in Eaton County as well, this is tracking for that area. Woodland, you are in the clear. You're technically still in that tornado warning, but this is going to be exiting your area. Odessa area, Lake Odessa, the rotation was originally near Lake Odessa and has now pushed off to the east. But yeah, Sunfield, you are right in the thick of it as far as who needs to be most prepared at this very moment. And it looks like we're getting in a new scan. So I'm just going to check our velocity momentarily. And it looks like, yeah, still just a little persistent area of weak rotation. This isn't necessarily jumping off the page at me as far as anything super tight or super strong as far as the rotation, which I would be a little bit more concerned with. But it's still showing that broad area of rotation, which is why this did receive that tornado warning, which is that red and green that you're seeing right there, right next to each other. So we're going to continue to stay on this just in the off chance that it does produce a tornado. I want you just taking it seriously. If you're in Sunfield, Roxanne, Little Venice, Needmore, some of those locations as well, and even down towards Gresham, just in case this thing drops a little farther southeast. But I'm going to zoom out and we'll get a bit of a track on this area of rotation and get you prepared and in your safe place and give you an idea of the timing of this cell. So again, dropping off to the southeast at about 20 miles an hour, puts it in Roxand at 342, Needmore at about 354, Oneida at 402, and Grand Ledge High School, or the Grand Ledge area, just after 4 o'clock, about 4:03. So this is going to eventually push into the Lansing area. But right now it is still in our News Channel 3 viewing area, and that's why we are sitting on it. So as we look at live Doppler radar, this is producing a lot of lightning as well. Not as much as some other storms we've seen in recent days, but right now just immediately south of Ionia in Ionia County, down M66, some really torrential rain exiting the Odessa area and continuing to push off to the east-southeast, and eventually going to kind of make a track probably right across the Sunfield area, Rock Sand. I'm going to scan over here from the National Weather Service, and it looks like, well, let me just double check a couple things. Looks like there's also a weaker area of rotation with this storm that they're starting to pick up on northern Kent County near Algoma area, crossing 131. This is north of Grand Rapids, but we'll also kind of continue to monitor that just in case this storm continues to get a little squirrely on us. But we can see some pretty gusty winds right now near the Rockford area. Those areas of lighter green, that would likely be where we have the best potential for some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts within this severe thunderstorm. So this one could also blow some tree limbs down, blow some small to medium sized trees down as well. That would be entering into the Rockford area, again, a very large area, northern suburb of Grand Rapids. So that's something we're definitely keeping an eye on, and eventually going to drop farther southeast as well to eventually cross M44 in Kent County. But this is kind of secondary to the tornado warning that is ongoing right now in southern Ionia County. I'll switch this back over to the radar just so we can get an idea. One thing that is good that I'm seeing, actually very good, this storm is starting to lose that kind of telltale like hook shape to it. Sometimes you hear us talk about that hook echo, which I was touching on a few moments ago. I'll play this back so you can kind of see. So watch as this storm evolves. There's that kind of hook shape to it. Now we're going to go forward in time. Watch, it kind of loses that structure a little bit, and now it's just more looking like a big blob on radar. That's a good thing. That means it's a little less classic of that kind of signature of sometimes things that we look for, which is sort of the again, signature for a possible tornado within a storm on radar. So that's a good thing, but I still want you taking it seriously. I still want you in your safe place. If you're in this polygon, this red area in portions of Ionia County, Eaton County, Ionia, I said Ionia twice, Berry County, Eaton County as well. It looks like there's a new update possibly on this severe thunderstorm warning. I'm just kind of checking. Looks like hail up to an inch now, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. They might have just trimmed the warning down slightly. It looks like Russell Road and 16 miles, several 1 to 6 inch branches down from a trained spotter. I believe that would be the storm farther south, but I'm going to work to confirm that. So yeah, that's not exactly positive on which storm that is. Let me do some digging here. But we don't have any, again, confirmed reports of a tornado. And as I was mentioning moments ago, the fact that it's starting to lose some of that structure that we look for is definitely a good sign. So this is in southern Ionia County, pushing towards Danby, Roxand. And even the rotation, if you look really closely, I'll kind of slow this down. It's looking a little less significant. So you see those brighter reds and greens that kind of just start to look a little bit more muddied on radar. That's also a good sign. I think that's showing that that possible area of rotation is starting to collapse somewhat. Now we'll continue to stay on this until a warning is dropped, of course. But I'm, again, just relaying those good signs that we're seeing that would speak to, hopefully, this storm not starting to do anything too significant. Farther south, what happens sometimes with these cells is they'll produce outflow. So rain-cooled air surging out away from the storms. That acts as like a little mini cold front, and it can trigger other storms. And that's what we're seeing right now in north of Charlotte, northwest of Charlotte. It looks like a few other cells are starting to fire as well. Looks like they're just updating the tornado warning. Let me just see what they are putting out for this. I think they just trimmed it slightly, but I just want to make sure there's nothing new. It looks like the tornado warning in northeastern Berry County. So they've just trimmed it to now not include Berry County. So Berry County, you are no longer under a tornado warning. There is still technically a severe thunderstorm warning, but Berry County, you're in the clear right now. If you are west of M66 in Ionia County, you are safe, you are clear. There's no immediate threat. This is really just in the immediate south of Portland, Danby, Sunfield, Roxand, Grand Ledge. You're right on the edge of this tornado warning. So that's the update. That's why that box is flashing. It's just indicating that the warning has been trimmed out of Berry County. But now northern Eaton County, southeastern Ionia County, and a portion of Clinton County as well, which is not technically in our viewing area, out towards the Grand Ledge area right now. So just checking this other storm as well. This storm is also, or was also, showing some very weak rotation. I'm not seeing anything too significant with that storm. Very broad rotation possibly, but I'm more concerned with just that area of brighter green that just went through the Rockford area. This again is north of Grand Rapids, could have some gusts up to about 60 miles per hour crossing. It looks like, I'm trying to get some streets for you, Wolverine Boulevard up near the Wolverine factory, I believe, and then 10 Mile Road northeast as well, tracking along there through Cortland as well, M57 up north of Grand Rapids. Those are some locations right now that could have some pretty gusty winds, but we're going to continue to keep an eye on this cell as well. A little bit farther south. There still is some broad rotation. I don't want to downplay that, but there's no clear indications that a tornado is on the ground right now, which is a good thing as well. Just surveying here from the National Weather Service to make sure there's no new reports coming in. It looks like, hold on, I'm scanning through a few things. Yeah, nothing too concerning coming in, at least in the last 5 minutes. There's no significant damage to report or anything like that, which is again good. So 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, and 1 is also tornado warned as well. So this is just kind of the big picture. You have these 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. You can see and read who's in those right now, in those areas of orange on your screen. So Berry, Clinton, Eaton, and Ionia counties through 4 o'clock for the radar indicated potential for hail up to about almost 2 inches in size, and then also wind gusts potentially up to 70 miles per hour. So that is, again, this cell down here. The secondary cell that you're seeing there for Kent County is through 3:45. This is that severe thunderstorm warning. And then, of course, we have this tornado warning as well that continues for another at least about 20 minutes or so for portions of Ionia County and into northern Eaton County as well. Just checking some new information, and yeah, nothing new to report there. So this is going to continue to be tornado warned for now. One thing that we'll also watch is, like I was saying, some of these storms off to the south that are starting to fire. That's just kind of the nature of the game. Sometimes in these sort of setups, you get storms kind of triggering one another. Sometimes, though, that is actually, they can kind of work against each other, kind of eat up some of the ingredients in play. So that's actually sometimes can be a good thing as far as the real upper echelon of severe weather potential. So when you have storms kind of right next to each other, sometimes, not always, but they can kind of, like I said, work against one another almost. And I think that's sort of what's starting to happen with these 2 cells right now in portions of southeastern Ionia County and also northern Eaton County, southeastern Ionia County, northern Eaton County. So we still have this tornado warning. It's starting to look like it's getting a little bit more of a hook again. So it could be kind of cycling through a little bit, but not quite as significant as it was looking a little bit earlier. And like I was saying, that even the rotation, the broad area of rotation within this isn't quite looking as impressive as it once did. So I'm just going to keep scanning a couple different things. I'm looking at a few different screens to make sure we're keeping you updated. But yes, Sebwa, if I'm saying that right, and then Sunfield, Danby, Roxanne, in M40 and the M43 cross section of northern Eaton County. If you live anywhere near there, Eagle as well. This would also include, I should note, the interstate I-96. Although the immediate area of rotation is south of 96 right now in Ionia County. Where I'm really talking about and where we would be most concerned with is right about here. This would be the area that I would kind of consider the area of rotation. So this is immediately south of I-96, going to be tracking this direction. If you kind of follow my arrow, that's where I'm sort of talking about as far as a possible track of this storm. We don't have any additional damage reports coming in. So nothing new to report as far as this tornado warning is concerned, but Clinton, Eaton, and Ionia County still under a tornado warning through 3:45 in the afternoon. Radar indicated still at this point. The larger severe thunderstorm warning continues as well through 4 o'clock, and that does include a portion of Berry County. The cell off to the south as well is probably producing some very torrential rainfall in northern Eaton County, just north of Vermontville, and that's on the north side of Charlotte as well. So that's another cell we'll kind of continue to watch. Just really quickly, I want to go over the broad view and make sure there's no other cells popping off farther south. I will also mention there's some severe thunderstorm warnings, it looks like, on the North Detroit Metro, but no tornado warnings out on the east side. We have the only tornado warning in the state right now. This, again, is that red area of Clinton, Eaton, and Ionia counties. And if you are in this box, I just want you to play it extra safe and be inside, underground, preferably. Get to the most interior room of your home, lowest floor of your home. And so oftentimes that's a bathroom or a closet. And just play it safe. You never want to roll the dice. If this is tornado warned, that means it could drop a tornado pretty much at any moment. And so you don't want to take that lightly. And you always want to heed the warning. I'm just going to check the radar. We just got a new scan in. So I'm just checking the velocity, which is, again, just wind direction and speed. Greens and reds next to each other, especially brighter. That's what we don't want to see. That would be indicative of a strong rotation. I don't see anything too tight, as I would say right now. So what I mean by that is anything spinning super significant and in a really confined area. That would be more kind of a sign of a possible tornado. This is pretty broad rotation, but it's rotation nonetheless. Any storm that's spinning, we're concerned with, right? Because the storms that spin like a top, those are the ones that produce the tornadoes. And so that's why this has the tornado warning. We're also going to continue to, I think, see this storm possibly strengthen as well, right over Little Venice, Needmore area of Eaton County. So that is another area that we're going to, I think, continue to see possibly strengthen. That's right on top of M50 right now in portions of Ionia County. But really that area of red is what we're most concerned with at this time. And it is hugging right now the line of Ionia and northern Eaton counties. So if you live right along the county line in Ionia and Eaton counties, you are most likely in the most immediate threat right now. And I want you just taking this storm seriously. And then eventually also a sliver of Clinton County, just in case there's anyone watching us from there. You're also in this tornado warning as well. So the Mulligan area was one of the locations I mentioned. Sunfield, this is immediately north of you right now. So you would be probably on, if you're like north of Sunfield, you're right pretty much where I'm watching this possible rotation. So that is something else we're kind of watching. If you're near the Grand River right now in Eaton County, southern, or it looks like rather in Ionia County, if you live along the Grand River that flows through Portland and then drops south, you are also in that tornado warning. So I just want you taking this seriously. Large Meadows Golf Course is a golf course that's in the path of this storm. So if you know anyone there or work there, or if you're golfing there, you need to be seeking shelter right now. Hopefully not too many golfers out in this heat though today, although I know there's some that are pretty hardy. So anyways, live Doppler radar continuing to show this tornado warning that continues through 3:45. So that is 13 more minutes unless this gets dropped early. No indications of that. It looks like one train spotter, East Division and Northland Drive. Let me try and find out exactly where that is. Has one train spotter reported a gust up to 60 miles per hour. Let me see something really quick on the map. I'm not positive if that's the storm north of Grand Rapids or this one that we're on right now. So let me just check a few things. I believe that is the north storm. Yeah, that would be the storm north. So this storm, a spotter just had confirmed 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. A 60-mile-per-hour wind gust is certainly enough to blow some tree limbs down, even some small to medium-sized trees, especially with weaker roots. When you start getting over 58, 60 miles per hour, that's enough to do damage, like what we had here in Kalamazoo County over the weekend, late Sunday night. Those are the sort of wind gusts that we were seeing with storms that did pretty significant damage farther south. But of course, that's not our immediate story right now. But this is a storm that could be producing some pretty strong wind gusts and is producing some pretty strong wind gusts, as indicated by a trained spotter just moments ago. Right now, some of the brightest colors that I'm seeing, again, which would indicate some of your strongest winds, would be pushing towards Cannon right now, Cannonsburg area, near Town Square Boulevard, Cannonsburg Road Northeast. Some of those areas, if you live near there, would be seeing some of the most significant wind gusts. Cortland area, Rockford is out of the immediate threat from this cell, but it blew through Rockford. We'll have to see if we have any damage reports that come in. Oftentimes these storms blow through, and then you get kind of, after about 10, 15 minutes, you'll get some reports in of damage and things like that. So we also have this tornado warning. Nothing really new there to report, which is good. And it is a fairly, like I said, slow-moving storm. This other cell that's lifting in from the south, that is going to help our cause for not producing a tornado, if anything. So that's also good. Now, it will still produce some lightning, some very heavy rain, possibly some gusty winds up to about 60. But when you have a storm kind of overtaking the path of a storm with some possible rotation, that's not good for a possible tornado to form. So that's a good thing. Overall, basically these storms, like I was saying a little bit earlier, they sort of start to counteract each other, and the southern storm will certainly start to kind of choke off some of the ingredients that northern storm is working with, which is, again, going to help sort of weaken it somewhat. So again, nothing new to report. Rainfall estimates a little over 1.5 inches in an hour or less in northern Kent County. So this is producing some very heavy rainfall. Needless to say, from that new report coming in from the National Weather Service. So it sounds like, if I'm reading that right, a little over 1.5 inches in less than an hour in northern Kent County. So no immediate flood risk with that, but that is just to speak to the fact that these are really dumping a lot of rain really quickly. So these are like tropical thunderstorms, like what they would see in almost Florida, because of all the heat and humidity that we're seeing right now. It's like just a deluge of really heavy rain. And again, these are very similar in some ways to the storms we've been seeing just over and over again these last few days, just that these are packing a little bit more of a punch than what we've seen at least yesterday. So this is, again, immediately south of the Portland area, Sunfield. That storm that has the tornado warning continues to show what I would consider less significant signs of a possible tornado, which is a good thing. Again, I think it's starting to interact with that cell farther south. If there was any area of rotation, and I mean any, it would be near Sunfield right now. But again, that is not all that classic by any means. That is just a little bit of some very, very weak rotation. Just making sure I'm not getting anything new. Looks like the National Weather Service seeing what I'm seeing, and they're going to be canceling this tornado warning shortly. So that is a good thing. So that's some new information that we're just getting out. And like I was saying, the southern cell that's starting to overtake the northern one, that's going to start to kind of counteract some of the dynamics that cell is working with. This one up north of Grand Rapids, definitely almost to me has more my attention more now. And it's because it's starting to get that bow shape to it. So if you look on radar, see how it kind of has that little curvature right there. That would be where some of your strongest wind gusts are moving through right now. And again, we did have a gust report confirmed of 60 miles per hour. So that would be near Cannonsburg area, M44 in Kent County. Oakfield, you're also on the northern edge of this severe thunderstorm warning. Grattan area, Parnell, Mosley, you are also in this severe thunderstorm warning. And I want you inside sheltering and taking precautions with this storm as well, because we had, like I said, a lot of damage farther south just a few nights ago from storms very similar to this, where we had some pretty decent trees that came down. And with 60 mile per hour wind gusts, you never want to downplay a severe thunderstorm as well. Sometimes we can even see more widespread damage than even a lower end tornado. And so that is another thing to not take lightly either. Again, we are just waiting for the cancellation of this tornado warning, but that is forthcoming, it sounds like, from the National Weather Service. So again, all the things that we've been touching on, just the things that were playing in our favor, sounds like the National Weather Service picking up on that as well, and we're likely going to see this canceled very, very shortly. This storm as well, just keep an eye on that. No rotation really indicated on radar with this, at least right now. For me, it's more of just a straight line wind risk at the immediate hour. But if you are in northern Kent County, there's a pretty strong storm going through right there as well. Those areas of lighter green that you're seeing on radar, that is where you would be seeing the strongest winds, which correlates, by the way, right to the leading edge of that storm. So through the Cortland area, you're seeing some really significant rain. Again, this is north and northeast of Grand Rapids, and it just crossed over US 131. And then we also have this cell exiting Ionia County immediately south of Portland. That's sort of being overtaken by a new storm that has started to lift farther north of Charlotte. Some really heavy rain, some gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour possible with that, possibly even 70 miles per hour, as was warned by the National Weather Service a little bit earlier. Looks like they will also be trimming down this severe thunderstorm warning, as you would expect, because the storm, as you can see in that whole orange box, is now in kind of one half of it. So what the National Weather Service does is they continue to trim that down. This storm is the stronger of the two for sure, based on what I'm seeing on radar. And it'll be interesting to see if we see any sort of an update on this storm. Just going to continue to scan the velocities here. So yeah, some gusty winds going right across M44 in northern Kent County and Cannon area, Parnell, eventually Mosley, and the Grattan area as well. You're kind of right in the line of a pretty strong storm that's going to be moving in here shortly, if it maintains its strength. And still have the tornado warning. And there goes the severe thunderstorm warning. If you saw that very quickly, they just trimmed the polygon there to kind of shave it down quite a bit. So Berry County, no immediate threat now for you. This is just for Eaton and Ionia County within the News Channel 3 viewing area. Grand Ledge as well, if you know anyone in Grand Ledge, and eventually into the Lansing area. I'm sure Lansing will be watching this very closely, just as this storm is sort of clustering together. And that's also similar to what we saw Sunday night, just sort of some disorganized storms, but still produced some gusty downbursts of pretty strong wind gusts. So that is something else that we're watching. I will say not as much lightning with some of these storms as we were seeing, which sometimes can also be a sign of some weakening. Perhaps they've moved past their mature stage. They could be starting their dissipating stage. I think this northern cell through southern Ionia County is definitely starting its weakening, while this one could be continuing to strengthen near Little Venice, Needmore, and Roxand. That blob on the center of your screen right there. So looks like just a few branches down, some 6 to 10 inch branches with that storm north of Grand Rapids. I believe kind of in the Rockford area. It was along Northland Drive northeast, which stretches through Rockford and Cedar Springs, Sand Lake area. But more than likely, it would have been near the Rockford area that we're seeing that report of some 6 to 10 inch branches down, which would be pretty typical for a storm producing 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Start to see those kind of larger limbs on mature trees coming down, sometimes even full trees coming down. Don't have anything too significant to report there. And we are still just waiting the expiration of this tornado warning. And from there, we will more than likely return to our regularly scheduled programming. The storm north of Grand Rapids is still worth mentioning as well for some possibly 60 mile per hour wind gusts and possibly some hail as well. Less concerned with the hail threat on that storm. The storm farther south, at a time, we did get a report of some up to about 1.75 diameter hail. So I can actually go through, I can really quickly just jump into our storm reports, and this will kind of show you there's nothing necessarily in the last 5-10 minutes to report, but that hail icon that you see right in the center of your screen, I believe that was near Lake Odessa. This was the hail report of 1.75. Or actually, I don't believe Lake Odessa. That's near Clarksville area. So that was one severe thunderstorm that produced some really significant hail. And then also near Cascade Township, I believe, in Kent County. That was where we had some tree damage and things like that. Now with this northern cell, we also have some reports of hail, it looks like, coming in as well. That's just shy of severe thunderstorm strength. That was near Rockford, dime to nickel size hail. When you start getting over an inch, that's where you start to see damage to roofs, to cars, and things like that. Rockford, there was that 62 mile per hour wind gust at 3:29. I want to jump back into radar. So that was less than 20 minutes ago as this storm was pushing through Rockford. And I'm going to just continue to scan this. still have the tornado warning, and just per policy, we're going to stay on the air until that is expired. I'm still going to I want to check this southern storm just to make sure there's nothing too crazy happening with it. I don't see anything too indicative of rotation. Sometimes, these storms can do some weird things, but I'm not seeing anything too menacing with that southern cell as far as any significant rotation or anything like that. It's just a torrential rainmaker and with some lightning, possibly some hail as well. It's interesting because that storm is moving in the opposite direction of our original severe thunderstorm warning, which was issued just around 3 o'clock. And what I'm talking about is this northern cell. This was the original severe thunderstorm warning that also produced the tornado warning. This is the storm that's starting to lift in from the southwest, sort of overtaking that first cell. See if there's a new scan on this northern storm as well. This one is, I guarantee you, producing some very, very heavy rainfall. We can even check that really quickly. This is a look at radar estimated rainfall if it loads. We'll see if it loads. Sometimes this one is a little laggy. Let's see. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning. So let me jump in and just make sure. Okay, so they're extending that warning. So that's the update from the National Weather Service. Looks like they've kind of localized that warning a little bit. So now this does include a portion of Ionia County. So Ionia County, while one severe thunderstorm warning is pushing out of your southeastern corner, there's now another severe thunderstorm warning that's pushing in from the west if you're in Ionia County. Let me get you some cross streets for this. This is, again, something to definitely take seriously. Inside, away from windows, you need to be in sort of a building for sure. Grattan, Mosley, Belding, M44. We've been talking a lot about M44 in Kent County. And now if you're in or near M44 in Ionia County out towards Orleans, you also need to be just seeking shelter away from windows. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, but I still want you to take it seriously and heed the warning. This one is starting to do sort of what the other one did before it produced the tornado warning. It did not produce a tornado. I maybe shouldn't use that language before it prompted a tornado warning, which it's starting to show a little bit of that kind of kidney bean shape on radar. And I'm just going to check and make sure there's no broad rotation. I don't see any broad rotation within this cell, which is good. The other one did have some reds and greens together. Yeah. And I don't see the National Weather Service mentioning that in this new warning. Let's see. 6 miles east of Rockford, 9 miles southwest of Greenville, moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. Hazards, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. And, of course, because we had that report of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, this is sourced from trained weather spotters, where sometimes it's just radar indicated. So hail damage and also some siding, some roof damage is possible when you start getting 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And of course, there's the threat to trees. This, on top of the fact that this storm is producing some very, very heavy rain, I really wouldn't want to be driving at a high rate of speed right now along M57 or eventually M44. So this is just to give you kind of a broader scope in case you're not as familiar with these locations. This is Grand Rapids in the kind of bottom left portion of the screen. And the storm is northeast of Grand Rapids. So here's Grand Rapids. There's some other cells popping up here near Plainfield, Algoma, even seeing some rain. But this is the main area of stronger thunderstorm that is severe warned right now through 4:30 p.m. And it looks like the tornado warning has also expired for Eaton County, Ionia County, and Clinton County as well, but there is a severe thunderstorm warning that continues. So with this, I am going to start to wrap this up so we can get you back to our regularly scheduled programming. But we don't want you to take these lightly. And if you are in either of these severe thunderstorm warnings, continue to just get indoors away from windows. And as new updates come from the National Weather Service, or if we see any additional warnings issued, we will likely cut into our regularly scheduled programming and continue to provide you updates. You can also follow along on my Twitter or Facebook. I'll continue to post some updates there. But yes, take this seriously. If you're in Kent County, Ionia County, any of these locations, Grattan, Belding, Keene, that is an area of interest. And then also down in portions of northern Eaton County as well, south of Grand Ledge, there's another pretty strong and potent storm working its way through there. Just one final scan to make sure I'm not seeing anything that would warrant a possible tornado warning or anything like that. And I'm not getting any indication of that from the National Weather Service, which is, again, a good sign. So right now, the gustiest of the winds staying north of Grand Rapids in Kent County, and right now in the Grattan area and M44. So we are going to continue to just monitor this. It is a severe thunderstorm warning through 4:30 for observed gusts up to 60 miles per hour. No damage new to report with this, but we're going to just continue to sit on this. So as we look at these two warnings, we're going to probably wrap this up and get you back to our regularly scheduled program. Again, no tornado warnings at this time, 2 severe thunderstorm warnings well north of Kalamazoo, but 1 northeast of Grand Rapids and 1 in northern Eaton County. We'll continue to provide updates as new warnings are issued by the National Weather Service.